Hello and welcome back to another episode of Courts This Week, your go-to source for the latest legal updates presented by Livelaw. I'm your host, Advocate Ostika Das, and I'm here to take you through the most significant updates from this week. From the corridors of the Supreme Court to local judicial proceedings, I'll be providing you with clear and concise summaries that keep you informed and ahead of the curve. Remember, for a more in-depth understanding, do visit our website at www.livelaw.in. In today's episode, we are going to talk about the Supreme Court's refusal to direct ECI to disclose Form 17C records of votes polled in the middle of the ongoing elections, former Jharkhand Chief Minister Hemant Soren's plea against his arrest by ED on money laundering charges, the campaign ban on former Calcutta High Court judge and current BJP candidate from Bengal's Tamluk constituency, and much more. So let's dive into the headlines. This week, the Supreme Court refused to grant relief in an application filed by the NGO, Association for Democratic Reforms, seeking the Election Commission of India to upload Form 17C data and booth-wise voter turnout data on its website. This interim application was filed in a writ petition originally filed by the non-profit in 2019. A writ petition by Trinamool Congress leader Mahua Moitro highlighting alleged discrepancies in the voter turnout data of the 2019 general elections was also listed along with it. The Election Commission of India opposed the application, arguing that Form 17C access is restricted to polling agents and online uploading could sow confusion and mistrust in the electoral process. Senior advocate Maninder Singh, representing the ECI, also questioned the petition's validity, referencing a past judgment on electronic voting machines and voter verifiable paper audit trails. Singh clarified that the voter turnout app data is tentative, with a minor variance of 1 to 2%, not the claimed 6%. In response, Senior advocate Dushyant Dave, representing ADR, contended that the current application pertains to pre-counting, distinct from the EVM VVPAT case's post-counting focus. The vacation bench, comprising Justices Dipankar Datta and Satish Chandra Sharma, however, hesitated to intervene during elections, stressing a hands-off approach at this stage. Senior advocate Abhijit, representing Moitra, attempted to persuade the bench by pointing out that there are nearly 10.37 lakh Form 17C records in all 543 constituencies. If the total forms are divided by the number of constituencies, the number per returning officer per constituency, the figure will come to 1911 forms. Uploading these on the website would be manageable, the senior counsel argued. However, the bench said that this exercise would require manpower. Noting the overlap between the interim application and the main petition, the bench then suggested their joint consideration after the vacation. Since the elections are currently underway with 5 phases already completed, Justice Datta explained that any relief ought not to be granted on the interim application in this period. He told the counsel for the petitioners, "It is not possible during this period. We have to be very conscious of the ground reality. We feel that this could be heard after the vacations." Moving next to an update on former Jharkhand Chief Minister Hemant Soren, who was arrested by the Enforcement Directorate in January in connection with an alleged land scam. Soren is accused of being the primary beneficiary of the land alleged to have been fraudulently acquired. This week, a Supreme Court vacation bench comprising Justices Dipankar Datta and Satish Chandra Sharma heard Soren's petition, challenging the Jharkhand High Court's dismissal of his plea against the ED arrest. The matter was listed to consider Soren's request for interim bail for election campaigning. The ED opposed interim bail, arguing that granting it would set a precedent for other jailed politicians to seek the same, noting that the right to campaign is not a fundamental, constitutional or legal right. Senior advocate Kapil Sibal, representing Soren, contended that the alleged illegal possession of land was not a scheduled offence under the Prevention of Money Laundering Act, making the ED's arrest powers under Section 19 of the PMLA inapplicable. Sibal also emphasized that the land in question was 8.86 acres of tribal land that could not be transferred, asserting Soren's non-involvement. Additional Solicitor General S.V. Raju, representing the ED, argued that Soren's case differed from Arvind Kejriwal, who has recently been granted interim bail until June 1st, noting Soren's earlier arrest and the rejection of his regular bail application by the special court, which he did not challenge. After hearing the arguments, the bench scheduled the matter for further discussion the next day. Later in the week, the Supreme Court dismissed Soren's petition as withdrawn. The bench noted that Soren had not disclosed facts regarding the special court taking cognizance of the ED's complaint and denying him bail. The court observed that once the cognizance was taken, Soren's detention became a judicial act rather than an executive act. After the vacation bench expressed reluctance to entertain the matter, Soren chose to withdraw his petition without having received any relief from the top court at this stage. This week, the Supreme Court refused to entertain a petition challenging the new criminal laws enacted by the Parliament to replace the Indian Penal Code, Indian Evidence Act and the Code of Criminal Procedure effective from July 1, 2024. The public interest litigation sought a stay on the implementation of these new laws and called for the immediate formation of an expert committee chaired by a former Supreme Court judge to assess their viability. The PIL claimed irregularities and discrepancies in the enactment process, alleging that the bills were passed without proper parliamentary debate, as most members of parliament at the time were under suspension. It argued that the new laws are draconian and aim to establish a police state. A vacation bench comprising Justices Bela N. Trivedi and Pankaj Mittal dismissed the petition, noting that it was drafted in a casual manner. The petitioner chose to withdraw the petition and accordingly it was dismissed as withdrawn. This week, the Supreme Court set aside a Madras High Court order that granted bail to 8 men allegedly belonging to the banned Popular Front of India and charged under the Unlawful Activities Prevention Act. The bench comprising Justices Bela Trivedi and Pankaj Mittal ruled in favour of the National Investigation Agency, which had challenged the High Court's decision. The Supreme Court cancelled the bail, noting that the allegations of collecting funds to commit terrorist acts against the accused appear to be prima facie true. The court considered the seriousness of the alleged offences, the 1.5-year period of incarceration and the evidence presented by the NIA. The bench emphasized that UAPA aims to curb terrorist activities and ensure national security, which justifies the restrictions on civil liberties of those accused under the Act. The court accordingly ordered the accused to surrender immediately to the NIA and directed the special court to expedite the trial without being influenced by the observations of the Supreme Court's judgment. This week, the Supreme Court highlighted the inconsistency in sentencing convicts, noting that it heavily depends on individual judges. The court recommended that the union government introduce a comprehensive sentencing policy within 6 months. The issue arose from a POCSO case where the trial and judgment were completed in a single day and the accused was sentenced to death 2 days later without sufficient time for defense. The High Court found multiple procedural violations and ordered a retrial, criticizing the trial court's haste. 2 appeals were filed in the Supreme Court, one by the victim and another by the trial court judge contesting the High Court's remarks. The Supreme Court dismissed these appeals, emphasizing that the accused was denied a fair trial at every stage due to the judicial officer's undue haste. The bench of Justices Hemant Soren and S.V.N. Bhati underlined the need for a comprehensive sentencing policy, stating that sentencing should not be arbitrary. The court urged the Ministry of Law and Justice to consider forming a sentencing commission to draft an appropriate policy within 6 months, ensuring fair trials and justice. This week, the Calcutta High Court restrained the Bharatiya Janata Party from running advertisements against the Trinamool Congress during the ongoing Lok Sabha elections, which were alleged to be slanderous and in violation of the Model Code of Conduct. Justice Sabyasachi Bhattacharya, after reviewing the advertisements, criticized the Election Commission of India for its inaction until the current writ petition was filed. The court emphasized that during elections, print media must avoid publishing any unverified information about candidates or political parties in line with Press Council of India guidelines. In response, the BJP has now approached the Supreme Court, challenging the Calcutta High Court's orders. The party has sought to argue against the restraint on printing its advertisements and has questioned the allegation that they were derogatory and in violation of the Model Code of Conduct. This week, BJP leader Shubhendu Adhikari approached the Calcutta High Court alleging illegal raids by the West Bengal police on his and other opposition leaders' properties. Adhikari claimed that these raids were conducted on the instructions of the ruling TMC government to influence the ongoing Lok Sabha elections. The police were investigating complaints of firearms and large sums of cash allegedly found at Adhikari's residence cum office registered under his personal secretary's name. Adhikari's counsel argued that he was being targeted despite having court protection, emphasizing that the property in question was his office and residence. The state's counsel countered that the no coercive action order was only for Adhikari, not his aides, and that Adhikari was neither an accused nor a witness in this case, making his petition invalid. Justice Amrita Sinha, after hearing both sides, restrained the West Bengal police from investigating these complaints until 17th June. This decision was based on a prior order that required the state police to seek court permission before taking coercive steps against Adhikari. The court noted that the elections were scheduled the next day, and accordingly, the police investigation could be stayed until after summer vacation. This week, the Delhi High Court dismissed public interest litigation seeking guidelines to cap airfares, aiming to prevent private airlines from charging exorbitant prices. A division bench comprising Acting Chief Justice Manmohan and Justice Manmeet P.S. Arora rejected the petitions. The court noted that the Director General of Civil Aviation regulates airfare pricing according to the Aircraft Rules 1937. The bench observed that while the petitioners highlighted isolated incidents of high airfare, they failed to provide supporting evidence. The court also emphasized that the aviation sector is a capital-intensive sector, and allowing airlines regulated freedom to implement dynamic pricing aligns with global norms and is crucial for the industry's growth. This week, the Allahabad High Court requested the Union of India and the Central Board of Film Certification to furnish detailed information about the certification process for films displayed on OTT platforms like Netflix, Amazon Prime, and social media platforms. The request comes in response to a public interest litigation seeking the cancellation of a censor certificate issued to the Hindi-dubbed version of the 2015 Telugu movie Takatwar Puliswala, allegedly containing derogatory dialogue against the people of Bihar. A bench comprising Justice Rajan Rai and Justice Om Prakash Shukla has asked for specifics regarding the mechanism employed by the CBFC for certifying films on OTT and social media platforms. While the court refrained from expressing any opinion or issuing notice to the film producer, it directed the Union of India and CBFC to submit a counter affidavit in response to the PIL. This PIL, filed by a Lucknow resident, urges action against the CBFC chairman and members for certifying films with objectionable content. The court has scheduled the next hearing for August to deliberate further on this matter. This week, the principal bench of the National Green Tribunal has taken suo motu cognizance of a newspaper report highlighting that India has lost 2.33 million hectares of tree cover since 2000. The report, based on data from the Global Forest Watch, indicates that India lost 414,000 hectares of humid primary forest between 2002 and 2023, contributing to 18% of the total tree cover loss during the same period. Additionally, it mentions that an average of 51.0 million tons of carbon dioxide equivalent per year was released into the atmosphere due to the tree cover loss in India from 2001 to 2022. The NGT observed that these findings suggest a violation of the Forest Conservation Act 1980, the Air Prevention and Control of Pollution Act 1981, and the Environment Protection Act 1986. Consequently, the NGT has sought responses from the Central Pollution Control Board and the Union Ministry of Environment, Forest and Climate Change. Furthermore, the NGT has directed the Director of the Survey of India to provide a report on the forest cover in India, particularly in the Northeast region, from 2000 onwards, with a 5-year interval up to March 2024. The matter is scheduled for further consideration on 28th August. This week, the Election Commission of India imposed a 24-hour campaign ban on former Calcutta High Court judge and BJP candidate Abhijit Gangopadhyay for making derogatory comments about Chief Minister Mamata Banerjee. After reviewing Gangopadhyay's response to a show-cause notice, the ECI determined that his remarks constituted a low-level personal attack violating the Model Code of Conduct. In its stern order, the ECI emphasized that such comments have tarnished the reputation of West Bengal, which is known for its tradition of respecting women. Earlier in March, Gangopadhyay had announced his resignation from the judiciary to join the Bharatiya Janata Party. He is currently contesting the Lok Sabha elections from the Tamluk constituency in West Bengal as the BJP candidate, with voting scheduled for 25th May. And that's a wrap for this week's Legal News Roundup. But before we bid adieu, the entire livelaw team has a small request for our dedicated viewers. As an independent and fact-driven media organization, we are deeply committed to fearless and ethical journalism. To continue bringing you the latest legal updates, especially in this dynamic audio-visual format, we rely on your support. So here's the Fantastic 6 for you. Give our video a thumbs up if you found it informative. Share it with your family, friends, classmates and colleagues to spread the knowledge. Make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel for more insightful content. Drop your valuable thoughts and feedback in the comments below. We love hearing from you. Don't forget to tap that bell icon to stay updated with our latest releases. And lastly, Make a quick visit to our website at www.livelaw.in for our in-depth reports and analysis. I'm your host, Advocate Ostika Das, and it's been a pleasure bringing you this week's legal updates. Until next time, stay informed, stay engaged, and stay tuned to Live Law. Thank you for watching.